What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the stream. How is everyone doing? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far, and that you guys had also a great week and a good start of March. As you know, today it's Sunday, so we are going to do the weekly market analysis. Basically, we're going to try to identify the best opportunities for next week. In the market, we analyze several different type of assets, from FX, indices, commodities, even a little bit of cryptos. We also feel free to let me know in the comments what pairs you would like me to take a look. So you can, of course, share with me in the comments, and we can analyze them together. So feel free to join. So today we are going to take a little bit more of a higher time frame perspective instead of just looking into the lower time frame. It has been an interesting week. We continue with a lot of volatility in the market, which is interesting. The indices continue to move to the downside. The dollar continue to push lower. Are we now about to have a little bit of a retracement on the dollar? Maybe we are going to have that. So as you know, last Friday we had NFP, so it was non-farm payroll, which was the numbers basically as expected, slightly lower than the real number, but overall it was as expected, so not really a big surprise in there. When you take a look into it, expecting 159, it was 151, so it actually increased from 4% to 4.1. I think there was even a little bit more of volatility in the market when the Fed Chair Powell spoke. I think it was in Chicago. I think it was a conference in Chicago. Yep. Basically saying that they're going to continue to stay on hold until they actually understand what Trump is about to do with his tariffs. Because basically what the Fed Chair Powell said is that the Fed has no reason whatsoever to act at this point. The unemployment is steady. Yes, inflation is starting to be increasing in the last few months. But until we actually decide, or we'll see what Trump actually going to do in terms of the tariffs, the Fed doesn't really need to act, or at least they're going to be on hold to see what will happen in there. So that's an interesting one. Next week we're going to have CPI. So in my opinion, at this point, CPI is indeed more important than the NFP. I think it's going to create more volatility than the NFP. So as you can see here, it's at 3%. At this point, it's been increasing all the way since October, which was at 2.4%. Meanwhile, it increased to 3%. So apparently the market's expecting a reduction to 2.9%. If by any chance this number is actually still higher, or it remains at 3% or even goes to 3.1%, I think that can be quite a concern for the market, which means that we may have maybe the US indices, they may continue to push lower. Something that has been happening for the last 2-3 weeks. That's literally the main data. Attention to the time change that happened yesterday in the US. So the market, or the US Open, actually is going to occur 1 hour earlier. So the news, instead of being at the traditional 1:30, are going to be actually at 12:30. So attention with that part in here. So be aware when the news are about to happen. So it's going to be 1 hour earlier, also in terms of the US Open, and that basically is going to last until the end of the month, when eventually Europe and the rest of the world is going to adapt or to change the hours as well to daylight saving. So let's start taking a look in here at the market. Okay, so basically, if you guys have been following the channel and you also watched last week's stream, without a surprise that we had this push downside. We were bearish in here. We talked about it. We saw already that breakthrough of this structure. We had a little bit of this initial range in here, and then we mentioned also, if price by any chance then would eventually break below that low, then we could eventually see the continuation to the downside, where this one in here would be one of the first initial levels that you could potentially look for a trade in here. Now, in the reality, this level, it actually created a gap. This was with the US election. Okay, so this was on the 5th of November. There was the US election. and apparently in here on this which was finally closed last Friday. So with the NFP, price actually closed the gap. Initially, it was reacting a little bit higher, but it actually went a little bit lower, and it closed the gap. And that's actually where the low was created. As you can see in here, this is the low that closed the gap in there on the left side. And since then, we actually start moving a little bit more to the upside, which could actually be the low for now. Okay, we could actually have some kind of retracement. Of course, we still have a little bit of a level in here that price can react from. We do have this supply in here that price can easily react from and potentially continue to push to downside. We need still a little bit of a break of structure in here to the upside to start confirming a little bit, and maybe this can be the low for now. And what I was still looking for is to see if there is any kind of demand zone still available, because price on Friday already spiked quite a few times from these lows, and they may have left this one behind, perhaps. This is a little bit one of my concerns, which means that price already created a little bit of structure, or it already touched so many times this level that potentially could continue to go and push lower in here before actually. So using basically this low as a potential fake out into potentially moving higher. Now, if price does break below this low in here, we may have a little bit of this structure in there. However, I could see price breaking this low. If this low breaks, it kind of starts opening the door for price to go a little bit closer to here or even into there. Again, doesn't mean that's going to be immediately. Price may actually break the low and then retrace a little bit, which means that it's starting to open space to go lower, but before actually continues to move, may actually retrace, may go maybe somewhere in here or getting closer to that level, and then eventually can continue to push lower. So that's just something to bear in mind in here on the dollar. But for now, price is finding a little bit of support in there. That really demand zone, it's a good one. Price starts breaking above this level, it starts opening door to go a bit more to the upside. So attention to this level in here, if to see if there's more buying pressure on the dollar. I think this could be finally starting to see a little bit of strength in here or some buying pressure. I was not looking for any longs out of the way, and while price was making this big push downside, but now I think it's about time that we can see some bullishness, a little bit of some strength to the upside in here. Again, doesn't mean that price will just skyrocket and go all the way even to this high or even all the way to here, but we could have definitely some retracement and price maybe reacting from something in here in the middle. Let me know, guys, what's your take in here, what is your bias, but that's a little bit of what I'm looking for on the dollar index. Perfect. Looking at the S&P 500, this is an interesting one for me. This is actually quite of an interesting one. So the price has been bearish. Okay, so we have been noticing that. We mentioned that for a long time already. Also, since basically price started breaking this structure and confirmed definitely with the break of this low that we looked for price to fill out this range in here. Yes, we had that reaction last week from around this level. Indeed, it was a really good reaction that actually happened on Tuesday, but then price decided to continue to break to the downside, never broke the highs, and it continued with the selling pressure. And now, in my opinion, price actually filled the range. Okay, so this was basically the range initially that we were looking for. In here, there's a little bit of separation between the price action in here that managed actually to break this previous top. And as you can see, there is this really strong level of support with this low in several lows in here, even that structure as well, that managed to hold price basically above this 5,680, right around this level in here. That's basically where price managed to stay above it without really managing to break it. And now when price eventually returned, finally it went all the way, and now it broke it. Okay, it broke it yesterday, not yesterday, sorry, on Friday. So it broke it, which in my opinion, it continues to give more space for price to go lower down, for price to continue to move to the downside. So that's what I'm expecting in the future. But for now, since this is actually such an important level of structure here, this extreme, and there is actually a demand zone underneath those lows that was kind of left behind. Okay, so price created out this support level in here. There's a small break in there of this low. That's really nice. But there's still maybe something in here where actually price is reacting right now, which means that usually after we actually manage to break such an important level of structure and such an important levels of support or resistance in terms of all these daily lows, usually price is going to actually start finding out some buying pressure. If it was the opposite, it would be selling pressure in here. So in one hand, in the bigger picture, I think price still wants to go lower. I think that break, it shows that price has intentions to continue to move lower. Potentially can even go all the way until there. But for now, it's actually great to have for price to actually start moving, having some strength. So we can maybe try to see within this level in here. As you can see, this basically decision point that makes price move higher instead of continue to push forward from here. So around this level, maybe there's something. There's maybe that level in here, and maybe something in here as well, where price actually could react from. But for now, I think it's reacting from that level. It's actually a bit lower. So yeah. Okay, so in here, yeah, it's literally within this vast demand zone where actually price reacted. And now we can go higher. Now, something that happened actually on Friday with the NFP, especially when looking at this price action, is that, and something that you could already have anticipated, is this. All right, so price actually managed to break the highs first, and after that, finally breaks this bigger structure. But that first break in here, this was a trigger that maybe price was getting closer to potential turn to the upside. So price turn breaks it. It still has some kind of double bottoms in here initially, and then finally fakes out at level. And now I think it could continue to push higher from here. So that's something that we can anticipate. So again, in my opinion, bigger picture, price and the S&P still has room to go further down, because we may have broken an important structure in here, which can still open space for price maybe to go around 3% more to the downside. However, for now, I think we could have some retracement. Maybe something that many people may start to pay attention to is try to see what is maybe a 50% retracement from this bigger move in here, which may take us into something in there, or 38.2 in there as well. So some people that do like to look at Fibonacci's may actually start marking those Fibonacci's all the way from the high to the low and see where potentially we can have a retracement. Something else that you can also identify is that on the daily time frame, look at that. That's actually quite interesting. The way that price, just high drawings, the way that price actually managed to close above. Okay, so we had this 200 moving average. We talked about that during the week as well. So the S&P, it looks like it was about to break below it, but it actually stays above it. So for many people that likes to wait for close below to confirm potential bearish market, or close above to confirm the potential long entry, price actually didn't manage to close below. Okay, so in here it actually closed slightly above, and in here it actually closed as a bullish candle to the upside. Actually, it looks like it would be another strong bearish negative candle. On the daily time frame, it was actually kind of a reverse bullish candle in here, which is quite interesting in terms of that strength that was that we saw on Friday evening. So yes, for many people, they are going to be looking at this and they're going to say that the 200 moving average is actually holding. However, in my opinion, there was actually an engulf to downside of that bigger structure, and price may still want to actually to go lower. However, for now, as I mentioned, we could indeed have some kind of retracement to the upside, which can actually lead into opportunity. Now that we actually managed to break again this high, it could lead into some opportunity to look for longs still within this level if price by any chance wants to go lower again. Okay, so I wouldn't mind at all to see maybe price holding these levels, go higher a little bit more, and then potentially come back something in here and maybe go higher even at the extreme, which will take us a bit more closer to this zone in here. So that's something to pay attention to see if you do have that long opportunity or not. For example, with price to start to move to downside in here during the London session, then maybe during the US Open we could have price pushing higher. Yeah, we'll see. It's just hide this moving average. Perfect. Nasdaq also broke further down, and they actually managed to break also below this low in here. So that's an interesting one. So we have been bearish as well in here, and it was another one that actually closed positive. I think it closed with a bullish, basically. Also a dodgy there. It may have not yet reached the final destination. It can still potentially go further down, maybe somewhere around this level. But for now, we could have also a little bit of retracement. But yes, overall, I think eventually, bigger picture, I think the indices can continue to move forward. So that's a little bit of how we could try to position ourselves. But before that, we may actually look for a retracement. Yes, we'll see. About top in there, fake out this top as well could be. Yeah, could push a little bit more to the upside. Yeah, we'll see. Dow, there you go. That was another one. We've been looking for price to move downside. The initial reaction from this top in here with the potential to go even lower. Now it's kind of reacting from some kind of level in here, can even continue to go lower as I mentioned. So that's potentially what you can eventually see. But as you can see, we kind of start to create a range in here. Price broke slightly to the upside. Now the fake out, which means that you may be getting closer as well for a potential turn in here. But this could be perhaps a level to look for a long. DAX, it's an interesting one as well. So anytime it breaks the highs, it kind of comes back down straight away. Now it reacted. So this one has reacted from this demand zone, new highs. Now this one is basically reacting from this mid-range structure in here. So after it basically broke that level, do I have this one? If this one breaks, basically we're coming back into here. And just curious to see if there's anything at the high still that can hold. So basically this structure here that you can see already hold price quite a few times. Right? So it hold price all the way through here. So it's just curious to see. I'm just curious to see if there's anything above this level in here that can find some selling pressure or not. So we'll see. Yes, we still have maybe this supply as well, but I wouldn't really looking for anything around this level again. Or if you're going to have eventually new all-time highs, same a little bit with FTSE 100, a good recovery in here. The top is still holding, basically came all the way back to these lows in there. So it's interesting. Bitcoin is actually moving to downside. So many people are expecting already Bitcoin to eventually close above the 100K this week. I don't really see it like that. I think Bitcoin is which of these range is the most important one. If price by any chance, yes, breaks above this level in here again, maybe can go back into this momentum to the upside. However, price is just filling the ranges. So great reaction from that supply level. Came all the way down. I think this demand zone is actually still fresh, so I could see price and Bitcoin faking out this low in here into this demand zone. Maybe that's going to be a potential long in there. We'll see. We do definitely have the supply now somewhere around here, so something to consider. That one has already been taken in here. So yeah, that's basically a little bit of a fresh level. Otherwise, Bitcoin may want to continue to push forward. But let's see if this week we are going to continue to have a little bit more of a ranging market, or there's going to be any key break-off structure of one of these two zones. Something to bear in mind is that yes, Trump is already starting to make a little bit more comments in regards to Bitcoin and crypto. So that's why we saw some momentum even last Sunday as well. However, interesting enough, with those comments and starting to create a committee about crypto and maybe how the US can use it and try to kind of become the capital of the crypto space. the market is still not overreacting to it or kind of sustaining that bullishness, which is interesting. Maybe price or the market just want to actually to try to move a little bit lower to get filled at better prices, perhaps, or it's maybe a reaction as well of what's going on in the overall market with US indices as well dropping. Basically, the risk-on assets taking a hit at this point, and with this bearishness that we have seen in the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, to be honest. So yeah, let's see if this is actually that reflection of a little bit of risk-off environment at this point. And eventually, of course, the risk on is going to come back. Question mark is when. But for example, if the US indices, as I described before, if they actually still want to continue to move a little bit lower, then perhaps we may have a little bit more of a continuation here to the downside on crypto and Bitcoin included. But for now, personally, I still see this potential level in here as a good reaction, and then we'll see what's going to happen after that. Ethereum, as I mentioned as well, in my opinion, Ethereum, there's more room to the downside. I think Ethereum got into this compression in here, and I think it can continue to push a little bit lower, all the way closer to this next zone, to the extreme. There's maybe this demand zone, which may already be touched by this low. So it's maybe weaker, which means that maybe price actually is free to go all the way through. So yeah, that's a little bit more of the target in here on Ethereum, especially maybe this demand zone as well, which takes us close to 1,600 in here, which is quite interesting. Solana also basically about to break these lows in here. Solana, as I mentioned, already basically dropped 60% since the top. Okay, so that's basically 57, around 60s, maybe a little bit lower. So that's going to be an interesting one as well to follow. Breaking below that low, you can still even open the space for price to go even lower. So that's going to be definitely an interesting one to follow in here as well. Crypto total market as well coming all the way back, basically retested the 3 trillion and then dropping all the way through. Yeah, Bitcoin Binance as well is increasing a little bit, so which eventually can find some bearishness. Yeah, it's an interesting one, interesting market at this point. Looking at the yen index, in my opinion, there's more downside in here on the yen index. We did manage to break this structure in here. I was looking for price to get a little bit closer in here to the extreme. Price just paused in there. I like this kind of structure that was created in here. A kind of nice middle range to accumulate liquidity. But yes, now price is moving a little bit to the downside. I'm still curious to see price does go there. Overall, in the bigger picture, it's reacting from okay level. Of course, it can still go higher, and I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually goes there. But as you can see here on the daily time frame, it was actually a nice supply level. That high never really touched it, and now we are reacting from it and starting to see a little bit of bearishness in here. And after that, we did manage to break below the low. So in my opinion, I think price is ready to go a little bit lower in here, which means that we can have some bullishness on the other yen pairs. And the euro index, basically the euro pairs, they were the biggest catalysts or the biggest moves of the week. Really strong move to the upside since Monday, Tuesday, since Tuesday, if not mistaken. And now euro index is reacting from this supply level, which is a really interesting level to see some reaction, and that's exactly what is happening right now. If price does break above this supply level, maybe in here there's another level that we can see, but in my opinion, I think price then breaks into this compression, and we are looking for price to go and navigate out this move in here. Okay, but for now, price is indeed reacting from that supply. It's also to start seeing some potential bearishness in here, which can lead into a bearish move, like we have also potential setup on the euro dollar. All right, so yeah, that's an interesting one. So price started to break slightly this structure. Now the fake out again, the PA in here is really great. Full compression as well. Price breaks the low, and now it's reacting from this left shoulder. we might have one last spike into here, so that's something that can still happen as well. So we could have that last spike into there and then reacting once again. So we could have maybe something like this, and then finally price moving. So that's something to pay attention. And of course, we need to break below this low for potentially move even further down. But this is kind of a nice move. So this high basically had already broken that one. Then you had this PI. We saw these demand zones last week. We talked about them, and then a really strong move. I was, of course, not expecting that how this move would happen just in a week. As you can see, price spent a few months just trading around this level, and then all of a sudden in a week it just made all this move, which is quite crazy. But that's what we had in here on the Euro Index. So that's something to continue to follow at this point. So really nice move. Looking or continue to look now into the individual currency pairs, and of course starting with Euro Dollar. So the Euro Dollar had that big move to the upside, finally broke above the structure and trend continuation here. For anyone that likes to look for trend continuation setups, that could have been a great setup in here to look for. Then prices continue to move higher. No need to look for any shorts until eventually price get closer to this level in here, which is basically what we had now on Friday. Yes, price can definitely still go slightly higher. Definitely can. Opposite to the dollar index, where price reacted really nicely from that demand zone with the gap. Euro dollar at this point is still kind of just reacting from this lower edge in here with a little bit more of room in here, and can even break all the way this level, get into here, maybe from here. That's going to be the best opportunity to look for a short. That can actually happen, to be honest. But for now, it started to definitely show some weakness. Okay, so we started to break some lows in here. We actually had that reversal. We're starting to see some weakness in here. Initial price continued to move in here. I actually got short in there during the NFP, but then I ended up getting out at break even the second position. This price never broke this low initially, so I'm on my stop loss break even, and then finally it broke a spike. I think this was around Petropal was speaking, and then price now moving downside, and now price actually reacting quite nicely from the left shoulder, right? So we had this one in here. Something that I also noticed is that price was already starting to create a bit of structure. Price broke this low, so this can be definitely a really nice fake out. In reality, my second target was actually already aiming for price to go below this low, but initially I needed to see that low being broken. After the first move, it didn't happen, only on the third one. So I'm going to be looking, to be honest, now I'm not the biggest fan when you have then so many highs in alignment, which means that perhaps price could still make one last attempt to go a little bit higher. Price maybe could go there, and that could be quite interesting. Price at this point is just reacting from this level in here. So I would actually like to see that. Maybe price can go a little bit down and then maybe just continue to push higher, to try to aim to fake out this triple top in there, and then maybe you could have a bigger move happening in here. I'll prefer that. Even though on the Euro Index, I could see maybe price just faking out this level and go, so basically what I just draw. But on the Euro Dollar, I would actually like to see price going a little bit more to the upside. On the Dollar Index, maybe there's no need for that. So it's going to be an interesting one to follow this week. So again, as you can see, we had such a massive candle. Look at the weekly candle in here. So even this one is quite aggressive. This candle alone is basically it's basically the same size as all these three combined. So that's a massive candle. I think last time we had such a massive candle, it was all the way back in here, and this was Jesus, this was this was November in 2022. So this was maybe one of the initial announcements of a potential rate cut from the ECB, perhaps. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So that's a really massive candle that we had on a weekly basis. So we'll see what's going to happen next, but I'm curious to potentially look a little bit more of a. Again, I could see price still reacting from somewhere around here. Otherwise, somewhere around this level could be quite interesting. Beautiful. A pound dollar. Pound dollar continues to show a lot of strength and maybe can even go all the way above this size. It finally took that high. We talked about that as well. Took that the pound could aim all the way to go above this structure. It did. Also with some momentum, price kept respecting this zone in here, and then it continued to push higher. Now, a pound. Even looking at this time frame that we were in here, as you can see, price never really managed to break below this wall yet. So the continuation in here of a bullish momentum, it makes sense, to be honest. And yes, I'll definitely prefer to see price going a little bit closer. So we may have a few zones in here that price can react from. Price is right now, if not mistaken, reacting from this one. It could have that one as well, and then eventually this one in here. And then of course price can eventually continue to go, even aiming towards that zone in there. But as usually, price doesn't just really move like this. Eventually, you're going to start seeing some reaction in here. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this one. But yeah, let it. In my opinion, you can take the highs first, and then you'll see what's going to happen. Okay, euro pound. This was my big miss of the week, basically. Yeah, so we've been looking. I talked about it. We've been looking for that long. Basically, price filled the spice. It went all the way from here, all the way from this level. Trading box. I don't know if you're going to watch the recording or not, but we talked about euro pound not trading it because of maybe the spread overnight. But in reality, this was such a nice move that we had in here. For some reason, I placed my order exactly where this line is, and I never got filled. Yeah, I didn't really have a specific price, to be honest, where to place it. I used this week as a kind of a reference. This one as well, kind of on the 4-hour time frame, but price came down, never reacted from it. Yeah, this was the one that I kind of was looking to be tagged in, and never happened. And after that, the rest is history. So the reason for me to actually start looking is because price actually managed to break that high first. So I was waiting for price to actually break the structure. It did manage to break it, but then never really managed to tag in. And yeah, now if you ask me if I was expecting this to happen straight away, no. If I was aware that price, and I mentioned that last week as well, if I was aware that there was this bigger range in here that we could eventually fill, yes, I was. And that was one of the reasons for me to look for it. And now we are already close to this level, so we are starting to find some bearishness at around this level without any surprise. And as price continues to go a little bit higher, maybe we can even have a little bit more of a move to the downside as well. So that's a nice one. And yeah, euro pound. So we'll see. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and so on. So it continues to be within this range. I don't really have a clear path at this point for these two. I haven't really been active. I've been paying more attention to Euro Aussie and Pound Aussie than exactly Aussie dollar or New Zealand dollar, just because I don't really like where they are reacting from. Yes, we kind of had a little bit of a reversal setup in here. You can see just start breaking up highs, fake out, price coming back in here. Then, in my opinion, this looks like kind of in the middle of this compression. Price could go even a little bit higher. Let me know already it's reacting from this level. So it's a little bit tricky in here. The bigger picture, yes, it could continue to go higher after price breaking basically this structure here, but this one here could have gone a little bit lower as well, so maybe there's still orders in here, price just paused in there. So there are a few levels in here, both up and down, that price can still maybe go towards to before actually breaking some key structures. So yeah, I'll be tracking it, but at this point it's not exactly on my radar, and not even New Zealand as well. New Zealand went a little bit closer to the top. Okay, this is actually a great reaction where it reacted. It's a really nice supply, to be honest. But I was not even aware of it, to be honest. What happened? Yeah, this was on Thursday. This was actually kind of a really nice level. Just looking at it now. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that one. Yeah, good reaction. Reach it from the extreme in there. So we'll see. Yeah, I need a bit more information at this point. Again, bigger picture, yes, it can start turning. Price can actually eventually break and continue. So that's something to bear in mind here. Now we're looking at Euro Aussie and Pound Aussie. Those, yes, those actually. What time was this? Yeah, price really moved on Thursday at 5 p.m. Oh, not Thursday, Friday. On Friday at 5 p.m. This was a great level again. It was not active. As you can see, Euro Aussie went above this high. It's another massive move that we had. Again, all the Euro pairs actually moved quite aggressively this week. So it was another massive move to the upside in here. And price now broke that high and it got a little bit closer into whatever structure is in there. Which can eventually lead into a continuation setup. To be honest, we'll see how price may get a little bit closer to this level. But for a retracement, that's actually a really nice PI. To be honest, price is starting to range in here, creates the head, leaves the supply, breaks the low, and then comes back into here. Yeah, I was not active already on Friday. That's a beautiful move. That's a great move, to be honest. That's a great move. Price reacts from the demand zone that breaks that high, and then it's a great move. Oh well. Yeah, we'll see how price may react from here. But as you can see, Euro Aussie with a really strong move, and even if you bring Pound Aussie in here as well, has been quite volatile, super bullish. Good retracements as well, reacted perfectly from the demand zone, and yeah, it's getting closer and closer to this top in there. Yeah, this will actually react basically from that low. I do have that left shoulder in there, but it can go a little bit higher. Yeah, it can definitely go a little bit higher. This is basically break, returns to previous support resistance with the demand zone, and now moving a bit more to the upside. Yeah, it can go a bit higher, and then it may find something. Yeah, that's an interesting one. The yen pairs. So dollar yen finally filled also this compression here that we talked about. So looking for price to go below that level, and now it's getting into this demand zone, which is interesting. There's maybe that one, and then a little bit more into the extreme. And if breaks below that, then can continue. But for now, it's finding a little bit of bullishness. Again, if the dollar actually wants to turn, potentially this can help a little bit dollar yen to go higher. Of course, we do have this potential range that you can feel in here, but we can try to find literally a little bit in detail into there if there is actually a high probability for price to just pause in here or to go a little bit more. So that's something to track. And you could have definitely a little bit of retracement attention to this level in here, but then you could start aiming for price to finally have a little bit more of a retracement. Euro yen also massive move. So we were looking at that one price which we make that move. I caught in here. It's a nice PI as well that happened. Now price broke above this high, so in my opinion it may continue to move higher, which can lead into that yen index move to the downside. So I wouldn't be surprised if by chance that happens. Of course, Euro yen benefited also from that big move to the upside on the Euro dollar, but at this point I think we may continue to go a little bit more to the upside. Maybe price can create some kind of manipulation in here to pay attention. But yes, we do already manage to break that high, and you can start aiming a little bit more to the upside in here on the Euro yen. On the end, it's a bit more of a mess. Also, kind of within this range. Yeah, again, I'm not really active in here. I want to see a bit more this one evolving. Dollar CAD is an interesting one. So dollar CAD, it went all the way up. All right, it got reacting a little bit from this previous structure, some left shoulders. You can still go a little bit higher, to be honest. Even left, maybe that's on a little bit above as well, which is about top. Created in there. Price came all the way down. Good reaction from basically closer to these lows. It was basically to see if this actually starts holding, price goes higher, or if this one starts eventually breaking and price finally is ready to make a bigger move in the year. Of course, the volatility that's going on with Canada with the tariffs, postponing tariffs, applying tariffs, and no one really knows exactly what's going on. Also, Canada going against the US as well, adopting some tariffs into some US products. So that's going to be most likely going to have more volatility in here. Another one that is quite interesting is actually the Euro CAD and the Pound CAD, because they have been quite bullish, as you can see. Basically, price breaking structure with Euro CAD finally getting a little bit closer to something in here. Can even eventually fake out this top, but for now, it's actually starting to find some kind of resistance within this level. Yeah, it can continue to go a little bit higher, and then eventually you can have that move down. Definitely want to continue to track. This price already reacted from here. Of course, you do have that extreme in there, but price already reacted within this level. Then we have created fake out, but this highs in here already reacted from the left shoulder, basically. So yeah, maybe something in there. Going to be interesting, definitely interesting to follow. A Pound CAD as well, super bullish. Already retesting levels around COVID, so sorry, Brexit back in 2016. Just continues to move higher and higher and higher. Yeah, so let it continue to go. Dollar franc Swiss, that's an interesting one. So dollar franc Swiss continues to move a little bit more to the downside in here, getting really closer to this low. So we are being bearish as well, with price moving really nicely to the downside, and maybe can find a little bit of bullishness at around this level. So as price is getting closer to here, maybe we could find a little bit of a retracement. It's something interesting to keep an eye on. Also, we did had kind of that first high being broken there, but now we don't really have any liquidity, and maybe below these lows could be that situation. So we'll see how price may eventually can react from one of these levels to see if there's actually a sign of reversal in here. If price will just continue to move lower. So that's an interesting one. Gold, I've been waiting on gold. So gold, I'm waiting for price to get closer to this range in here for a potential sell. Price did manage to break below that low in here. So this one can be seen a little bit as an engulf to the downside. Yes, price may have gotten closer to the structure, but regardless, it's still a break of this low in here, as you can see. So I am going to be curious to see. Price now created this really strong range. Price had this demand zone, so initially reacted from the upper edge. Now basically reacting a little bit closer to the extreme with this low, and we have this range. So I can imagine many people trying to continue to sell in here, maybe people trying to buy in here, and then I can imagine the amount of stop losses that are going to be here because of all this. And you do have this still this fresh supply, even maybe that one at the extreme. So I'm definitely going to be looking for gold to have some kind of reaction in here, and then to potentially drop all the way. So that would be my take. If gold still wants to take a new high, then it takes it, and eventually going to be looking for price to fill this level. So actually gold is in our radar. It has been already for the last few days, and it's going to be continue to be during this week until price eventually gets there. And then we have, yeah, it was gold. Then we have oil, which actually is finding finally some the bullishness. However, we did manage to break below this low, and there's fundamentally there is quite a few reasons for the price of oil actually to continue to move forward, with OPEC members mentioning that they're going to increase production in April. Trump also wants oil down, and also all this uncertainty in the economy and seeing stock market moving lower, it may lead to a reduction of demand on oil. Again, all those factors eventually can continue to push price of oil a bit cheaper. However, we have already been in a bearish scenario, as you can see, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. So which can lead into a retracement, of course. So that's something to pay attention if prices want to go below this lows first, maybe. So interesting to see what will happen at around this level. Yeah, but it can continue to move forward. And that's basically it. Yeah, guys, that's basically it. So US indices, trying to see if there is that momentum, actually if there is that retracement to the upside, but still bigger picture, considering that, in my opinion, is still more room to downside. So that's my take in here across the S&P and Nasdaq. Dollar potentially can have finally some bullishness, even though bigger picture can still continue to move forward as well. Euro dollar, as a consequence, can be the opposite, a little bit more of a bearish scenario, at least maybe for the beginning of the week, and then we'll see. Of course, CPI on Wednesday is going to be the big catalyst to look for. What else? Dollar, the yen pair is going to be interesting to see if there's a reversal or not, with potentially this yen index continue to push lower from around this level. So that's an interesting one to track as well. Of course, crypto and Bitcoin in particular, to see how it may react from this level, and gold from those tops that I just mentioned. So that's basically what I'll be trying to look for. Yeah, that's basically it. So thank you very much, guys. If you do have a different view, or if you agree with my opinion, and if you're watching the stream later on, feel free to leave a comment, and then I can reply to it for sure. I will reply to it. And yeah, the idea is to share ideas. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Subscribe to the channel. We're already sustainably above the 700. Of course, the goal is to continue to grow. So, and let me know in the comments what other type of content you want me to create. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.